Alright, so there's a good chance we won't get very far in this because my camera's been freezing, but I tried to fix shit, but hopefully I'll know if it does. But until then, we're going to jump into Extra Chapter 4 and learn stuff. Memories like beautiful dreams. My dreams aren't beautiful. Mine are usually horrifying and I'm angry. Oh, hello. Through my hazy vision, all I could see was a red pair of eyes cutting through the darkness like flames. I could barely breathe, and I kept drifting in and out of consciousness. I wonder why. Why at a time like this would that sticker photo I kept on my desk be the first thing to pop into my mind? I know they say your life flashes before your eyes before you die, but this was only a single page from my past, albeit a very dear one. That day was almost like a dream. I could hear their laughter in the back of my head. The sky was a beautiful crimson-purple fusion, and the sweetness of that cake from the cafe was still on my tongue as we entered the photo booth. How did things line up like this? Did I do something wrong, and if so, when and where? Somehow, the answers to these questions seemed less interesting to me by the moments of events from my past replayed themselves within me. It was like I'd gone back in time. Oh. And then all of a sudden, the sound of a door being thrown open brought me back to my senses. Sayaka, I come bearing gifts. Sayaka, sorry to keep you waiting. Were you lonely? Were you crying because you didn't know when I'd be back? Quiet, Inumaru. Dear Whittled Naho is sweeping, and we wouldn't want to wake her, now would we? I'd heard every word and raised my head to survey the situation. Though first regained my focus by staring at the clock above the blackboard, which slowly registered in my newly awakened mind as indicating it was now 4 o'clock. I feel like I overslept. I must have been exhausted from working on that draft late into the night, but with the deadline fast approaching, I had little other choice. I also must have been out for a really long time, as I had absolutely no memories of anything from 6th period. Looked around me, but the only other people in the room were Sayaka and Inumaru. Hey, Justin. Sorry, Naho. Did we wake you? It's okay for you to go back to sweep if you want. Sayaka seemed to have noticed I'd woken up and was running over to check on me, but I just shook my head, first to indicate no, then much harder to shake off the drowsiness. I'm fine. Please don't tell me you've been waiting for me to wake up, though. If so, I'm really sorry to keep you so long. Don't apologize, Naho. Oh, you know there's no such thing as a bad wound between the bestest buds. Sayaka flashed me an overzealous, forced smile, which I returned, though mine was quite natural. Hers probably was too, actually, though I couldn't say for sure. Either way, it was super cute. So, Inumaru, where is it? Did you get it? The tone in her voice changed completely, and her smile disappeared too, now that she was addressing Inumaru instead of me. If you should extend your beautiful, delicate hand to me, I would happily answer your questions with all the love in my heart and soul. Oh, God. Such as, how do I love thee? Permit me to count the ways. That's a definite no on that. All I want from you is what I sent you to get. I can see the embarrassment written plainly on your face. How long must this farce go on before you show me your true colors? Haruyuki Inumaru was our mutual classmate and a childhood friend of Sayaka's. Everything he did for Sayaka. His whole world seemed to revolve around her, and sometimes she'd play along, making his day, but that hadn't happened for a while now. He had the blood of an Izumo priest running through his veins, which gave him a considerable amount of spiritual ability, though he never seemed to like having that brought up. Sayaka, did you ask Inumaru to bring you something? Yeah, snacks. You want some too? I'm good, but here? If you're hungry, you should just eat on your way home. That's what I've been taught. Though actually, we did eat on the way home all the time, so I guess this particular hunger somehow ran deeper. She's on her period. But I'm hungry. But I'm hungry now, and I can't keep this beast caged up any longer. I want to eat right here. Well, Sayaka, here they are. Inumaru, who'd left the room without our knowledge a few seconds earlier, suddenly burst back in with a flatbed cart in tow, squeaking away. And I could hardly believe what was on it. Ta-da! How's this, Sayaka? I brought you a whole smorgasbord. Boxes and boxes of fatty, sugary, prepackaged foods lined every square inch of the transport. Cakes, waffles, donuts. Oh, and a box from that pretzel shop that recently opened too. Add to that cookies, pies, macaroons, even ice cream. He had all the bases covered for sure. Yay! They look so tasty! Time for a sugar high! To my surprise, Sayaka beeline for one of the boxes, setting in motion what may have been the biggest binge I'd ever seen. Box after box fell before her, many before she even sat down. This doesn't feel like the Sayaka we knew! But she is diabetic, isn't she? This is heaven. Take your insulin, girl. She's gonna need it soon. Sayaka was ingesting these fatty, sugary, processed foods at an alarming rate. I'd never seen one person eat so much food she shouldn't in such a short period of time. Sayaka, are you feeling okay? Oh, did you want some too? Help yourself. Everything is simply scrumptious. Were you seriously that hungry? I totally was. I just had a real craving for something sweet. I'm a little worried about all the calories, but what can you do? The stomach wants what it wants. You're not planning to eat all of this, are you? I'm legitimately scared for the sheer quantity of sweets still stacked on the carts. I mean, I loved candy as much as the next person, but I was practically getting heartburn just looking at the massive haul. Yeah, of course I'll eat it all. Wait, Sayaka, you can't be serious. But I am. Quite an appetite on this one. Just let me know if that's enough for you, Sayaka, and I'll get you some more right away. Oh, if that's not enough. What are you saying, Inumaru? You know she just eats everything you brought her already. She's going to get fat in no time. That's not a problem, Sayanoki. No matter how plump she may get, Sayaka will always be the cutest. I would be glad if I could get my arms all the way around her when I hug her, I suppose. Stop being stupid and bring me that box, Inumaru. As you wish. Would you like me to feed it to you? Here. This macaroon has your name all over it. No, it has your fingerprints all over it, which is gross. You eat it. Yay, Sayaka gave me a snack. God. Man, poor guy. Inumaru was now holding the macaroon close to his heart with a joyous expression on his face. I couldn't bear to look at him anymore, so I turned my attention back to Sayaka. I studied her as she continued to engorge herself, trying to... Though Sayaka's a girl after my own heart, I'd probably be the same way on a table of sweets. Just like... Determined how someone so typically mild-mannered had wound up in such a state. This was decidedly not normal behavior for her in any way. Something was definitely off. Actually, I'm sensing some kind of disturbance. The longer I stared at her, the more I was able to make a faint shadow wavering just behind her. A spirit. It was a low-level spirit, one that could easily slip by and notice if a highly trained observer weren't looking very closely. Specifically, it was the spirit of a little girl, and its attachment to Sayaka was quite weak. It wouldn't take a lot of effort to exercise. How careless of me not to notice his presence sooner. I was not fully convinced that Sayaka's superhuman appetite originated from that little girl. There's a spirit attached to you, Sayaka. Sit still, I'll get rid of it. I produced a talisman from my bag and was just about to throw it down. But Sayaka quite aggressively shook her head at the notion. Stop, Naho, she's not a bad spirit. What? I actually feel really bad for her. She was walking home one day, all excited after buying herself some really top-quality candy when she got hit by a car whose driver had fallen asleep at the wheel, killing her instantly. At the moment of her death, all she wanted was to eat tasty sweets, but since she couldn't fulfill that wish, she couldn't pass on. And for the longest time, she didn't have enough energy to possess anyone, but she finally managed to save enough, and the person she latched onto was me. Are you seriously sympathizing with her? You know you can't do that, Sayaka. Opening your heart to spirits can only lead to trouble. But no, you're a girl too. You get where she's coming from, don't you? Imagine if you've been psyched to eat super nice sweets for a long, long time and you got them but then died before you could taste any. That would be totally blow, wouldn't it? That would be totally blow. That would totally blow. Well, sure it would, but still. See? So I'm planning to eat sweets until this little girl is satisfied. It's the least I can do. I mean, just look. Every time I, eat something sweet, just look how happy it makes her. The girl behind Sayaka did seem genuinely pleased every time Sayaka popped something in her mouth. And there wasn't the slightest hint of malevolence from her. If anything, she projected a certain innocence and generally made even me kind of sympathize with her. But still, I really didn't want to see Sayaka get fat. One of my secret joys was admiring Sayaka's magazine spreads. She always wore the most beautiful clothes, exhibiting a true sense of style and a true understanding of fashion in every photograph. Though I could hardly say that out loud, it was much too embarrassing. Sayaka, no matter how good or pure the spirit, possession never ends well. She really should be exercised. She's a girl without a single malicious thought in her mind. I'll be fine. Honestly. If a person who's been possessed is covering for the spirit, that makes exorcism much more difficult, even potentially impossible, low level or no. My hands were more or less tied. Inumaru, can you help me convince Sayaka to go through with the exorcism? Convince her? Why? You don't want Sayaka to continue being possessed, do you? Well, I guess that is a little worrisome, but I'm also really moved by Sayaka's kindness. It takes a big heart to sympathize with the dead. Don't tell me you're okay with what she's doing. Well, it's not an evil spirit, right? And you don't care if Sayaka takes in so many calories that she has to quit modeling? Of course not. If that's what Sayaka wants, then that's that I want too. Our hearts are as one. Guess what? That's what I get asking for your help. My head began to hurt, and every second I watched Sayaka continue to devour the snacks, I became more and more inclined to stop her. I think this calls for more drastic measures. Sayaka might hate me for this, I thought, but that was the risk I was willing to take. My course of action decided upon, I took my stance and prepared to send that girl along to the ever after. But before I could even begin to chant, an unexpected visitor arrived. My, what a wonderful aroma! May I join you? The classroom door was wide open, and there she stood, the infamous Aiko Niwa, wearing a unique combination of kimono and school uniform. She was self-proclaimed intelligence agent from class 3-5, and she had a lot of tendencies that I found distasteful. Specifically, she seemed to live for collecting spirit items, and just in general came across as a bit shady and manipulative, or at least that's how I'd always seen her. Aiho. Mouthful of donuts, Sayaka nonetheless did her best to acknowledge the presence of this new arrival. She wasn't particularly fond of Aiko, however, as the two of them had butt heads previously. But Sayaka had a general love of beautiful girls, and Aiko ranked fairly high on her beautiful scale, so she always seemed a little conflicted about that. What are you here for, Aiko? Now, there's no need to speak to me so coldly, Naho. I was just ascending the stairs on my way home when my nose detected a sweet scent, and I followed it here. Where, lo and behold, I found you. Could this be fate? Aiko, stop trying to seduce Naho. I'm sure I don't know what you're talking about, and I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't make such accusations. Aiko, don't pester Sayaka. I would never. I don't really have the time to be dealing with you right now. Is that so? She tilted her head and examined the cart full of sweets, then compared its size to Sayaka's tiny frame. Well now, have you been offered a position as a female sumo wrestler? Huh? Sayaka, as a female sumo wrestler, Sayaka seemed confused, and Inumaru seemed disturbingly intrigued. I just ignored them both and let out a huge sigh. Ugh. Look a little closer, Aiko. Can't you see there's a spirit behind her? Now that you mention it, my, what a thin presence she has. She's possessed Sayaka and is forcing her to eat sweets on her behalf. I want to exercise her, but Sayaka's not cooperating, so things aren't exactly going well. So that's it then. May I take a closer look at her? Aiko cautiously approached Sayaka and observes the spirit behavior for a moment. Aiko's passion was a collection of spirit items fused with deep hatred or malice. So if this little girl wound up being a little darker than she seemed, Aiko would undoubtedly snatch her away in the spot. So you're a big fan of sweets, huh? I see. How do you feel about dying in that accident? You must have a lot of regrets, I'll bet. Have you ever thought about killing or cursing the person who did this to you? Really? Well, have you ever wanted other people to end up the same way you did? Oh, I see. Aiko broke off the conversation shortly after the exchange and walked back towards me with slumped shoulders. It's no use, she won't budge. There's so much potential when becoming a spirit, but this girl just wants to eat delicious candy and she'll be completely satisfied. Can you believe it, Naho? She's saying she holds no grudge, but that can't be possible, right? And even if it is, there's simply no value to be had in spirits like that. Aiko had completely lost interest, and she didn't seem to care that the little girl had heard every word she'd said. The spirit was on the verge of tears, shrinking back behind Sayaka to distance herself as much as possible from this hostile new presence. If Aiko is that adamant, then I guess the poor thing really doesn't hold any ill will. I told you, I feel really bad for her. Please try to understand, Naho. Sayaka spoke with a little bit of staccato, her lips sticky with apple pie residue. But Sayaka, if you keep eating like that, it's going to catch... It's not going to hit her in one day, guys. Like, it would take a while. You don't just... Like, it's... I get it, they're high school girls, but in reality, like, that'd be... That kind of talk to girls or boys, it's not healthy. You can indulge, and I indulge all the time, and I am not fat. Because I know when to stop indulging, and I know how to eat healthy outside of my indulgence and work out. So, like, stop. Stop. It's okay to indulge, as long as you're careful. You're not just gonna, like, balloon up into a sumo wrestler, as they're saying. But Sayaka, if you keep eating like that, it's going to catch up with you. You think so? You're not going to let Naho exorcise the ghost because you feel sorry for her, then? Huh? Yeah. I see. So despite how much Naho is hurt by your actions, you're going to side with that spirit? Huh? See, Naho, isn't Sayaka mean? Sayaka smiled and sidled up next to me. She was clearly plotting something. She took my hand in hers and wrapped her fingers around it delicately. Let's leave this uncouth girl, who has no regards for your feelings, and go on a date, shall we? No, you can't! Sayaka immediately shot to her feet, knocking over her chair in the process. And just like that, she no longer had the slightest interest in any part of the mountain of candy that lay sprawled before her. The sudden shift separated the spirits from Sayaka as if the cord had been cut out of a kite. Cut on a kite. Iris, lay down. And if you're going to date anyone, Naho, date me! I'm off after school today. What do you say, huh? That's fine, I guess. Alright, scored a date with Naho! Sayaka hugged me excitedly and I was overjoyed. It's always nice knowing how much other people really care about you. But then for a brief moment, my eyes locked with those of the little girl's spirit floating there, and that's all it took. Crap. The spirit was quicker to act than I was to realize what I'd done. By the time it was too late, she was already within me. Instantly, my stomach emptied. I was intensely, massively hungry, and the hungriest I'd ever been. Actually, Sayaka, sorry, but let's hold off on that date for a little. Huh? I obviously have to eat that. I flew over to Sayaka's chair and threw open one of the stacked boxes. Jackpot, it was full of custard-filled cream puffs. I grabbed one and just shoved it into my mouth with absolutely no regard for mess or manners. The rich custard melted in my mouth and light, delicate aroma filled my nostrils. But rather than sating my appetite, this delicious temptation only made it stronger. So good. Oh dear, looks like your spirit has found its way into you now, Naho. What? Oh, wow, you're right, Naho. Are you okay? I had neither time nor the desire to answer her questions. I was too busy moving my hands and mouth, either eating sweets or formulating a game plan to either eat further sweets more efficiently, but I couldn't exactly leave her hanging. I'm fine. After every bite, the girl possessing me expressed pure, absolute gratitude. I heard whispers from her to the effect of, I'm so happy and thank you so much, and I immediately realized this could be a real problem. I totally get why Sayaka felt sympathy for this girl. The desire to continue eating no matter what made the spirit every girl's worst enemy, and the worst part was you just couldn't say no to her. She was too relatable. Rarely had I ever encountered a spirit who elicited such sympathy that the host would choose not to part with it. This eclair is amazing. You don't want any more, Sayaka? No, I'm full, actually. Wow, did I really eat this much? The number of open empty boxes was either astounding or sickening, depending on your viewpoint. I can tell you were enjoying your food, Sayaka, by the unrestrained, unbridled passion with which you consumed it. You're almost certainly going to gain a little weight from the experience. No, you're not! You're going to gain, like, some bloat, and most of it's just going to go out anyway. You can only take in so much in a day. Your body will not just, like, keep the rest. It will store what it can, and then it's going to just shoot out the rest. Like, stop. It's not... These games, they set bad precedents for kids of what will gain. Okay. Like, no. And personally, I can't wait. I hope you'll allow me to touch your tummy and fill up that food, baby. No way! I'm much more comfortable being the toucher than the touchy. Really, Sayaka? Have you been holding back this whole time then? It's okay, you know. You can touch me, pet me, and hug me all you want, anytime. Nobody's talking about you! Inumara was quickly knocked to the floor. Sayaka then ran right past him over to me. No, don't eat another bite. I don't want you to get fat. You're shed and done. I just want to keep eating. I can't help it. No gitsy fatsy for you, please. I'm also a little concerned, but my hunger could not be easily sated. My hands just wouldn't stop grabbing candies and sweets and desserts one after another. I'll be glad to exercise that spirit for you, Sayaka, if you want. But I feel bad for her. Isn't there any other way? Well, I can just remove the spirit from her, but if we leave it be, it'll probably possess someone else. As long as it's not possessing Noho, I have a feeling Sayaka wouldn't mind that arrangement one bit. No, that's a problem all its own. I'm not sure what I should do. Sayaka took a contemplative stance, holding her head in her hands as she attempted to suss out a possible solution to this problem. And it didn't take her long to brainstorm something. I know, how about we appease her so she can move on? So let her continue to eat sweets until she's satisfied. That's going to leave us in the same exact situation. Yeah, you and Sayanoki have both eaten a lot, but the spirit doesn't seem to be anywhere close to being appeased yet. I can't even imagine how much more you'll need to eat before she is. That's not quite what I mean. She died after buying some super fancy sweets but not being able to eat them, right? So if we can introduce her to something really hoity-toity that she's never eaten before, I'll bet that would be more than enough for her to rest in peace. Oh, hey, that's a good idea. The spirit seemed to be in agreement as well. She was nodding furiously. Even she hadn't considered this plan previously, but she was clearly all aboard now. Were there any good high-end sweet shops nearby? I bought from nearly everyone in the area as a show of my love for Sayaka. Well, if none of that's doing the trick, then I guess we just need to find something even more delicious. Now, can you think of anything? There's a cat cafe. Let's save that one for our date. Sayaka rejected my suggestion, not that it was particularly likely to appease the spirit anyway, since the true point of the cafe wasn't its sweets, but its feline companions. Well, Naho, I guess that just means you and I are going to need to go out on the date after all. A ticket was handed me, presented with a certain flair that suggested it must have been something special. Cafe Hortheth. That was the name, and the ticket also bore a date, as well as 5:30 p.m. timestamp. Ah, that's... Sayaka clearly recognized the significance of what I'd just been handed. That's the sweet shop in front of the next station down the line. You know, the one that you have to reserve seats at a year in advance? What? The piece of cake I'd been eating fell from my now agape mouth and crumbled onto the floor. I remembered hearing about this place during a TV feature. During this grand opening, the reservation line backed up pedestrian traffic throughout the station as Are we seriously talking about that place? And your reservations are actually for today? Where did you get these, Aiko? I confiscated them from someone who failed to become a customer of mine. Aiko said this in a coy, playful voice, clearly riding the waves of Sayaka's excitement. She continued in the manner, outlining her story in greater detail. I gave my client the requested information, but received not a single yen in compensation, and I've been unable to establish my contact since. That's just poor business, don't you think? As a form of collateral, I collected this person's entire savings, along with anything I could find that seemed to be of the same worth. Their entire savings? Yes, that's right, and I found these tickets in the mix. I was thinking of selling them, but they're only good for today, and it's always nice to eat delicious food with the people one truly cares about from time to time. People you care about. Us? Of course, and you're all welcome to join, not just Naho, but you two as well, Sayaka and Haruyuki. What do you say? Are you sure? Of course, I'd love to build a better relationship with you all, and this seems like the perfect opportunity. You hear that, Naho? Come on, let's go! If you're going, then I'm going. I'll follow you to the ends of the earth, Sayaka, so take heart. I wasn't asking you! As Sayaka beat the effort-loving snot out of Inumaru again, I took this opportunity to glance over at Aiko and study for any signs of ulterior. And yes, I know I'm bitching about weight, and yes, I will also bitch for people caring that abuse is not okay. She needs to stop hitting him. People you care about, huh? I don't even remember even getting along with you. I'd known Aiko for a while, but mostly just a colleague in supernatural studies. I'd never gone out with her, nor even sat in and drunk tea with her like I friendly would with Sayaka. My Naho, you look perturbed. Is something the matter? Aiko, what are you planning? I'm not planning anything, but a good time. I just thought it might be nice to drink tea and make a small talk. Chat about something other than spirit items for a change. Really? Really? Also, Naho? Suddenly she was right next to me. And with her porcelain-like fingers, she lifted the strawberry from the shortcake I was eating. We're close friends, right? And it's normal for close friends to go out for tea after school, no? Close friends. Here, say ah. Instinctively, I did open my mouth, at which point the strawberry was gently placed on my tongue and I found myself swallowing it without hesitation. Oh, Naho, you're so messy. You have whipped cream all over your mouth. She brought up her fingers to my lips and wiped the cream from them, after which point she stuck the same finger in her own mouth, savoring the second-hand cream she'd scored. So light and sweet, oh god. What the hell are you doing? Oh, I'm melting! Two sexy ladies feeding each other and sharing whipped cream. Okay, girl, we got it. Sayaka shrieked and I held her nose, presuming to keep it from bleeding. Which did seem to be a real concern, given how red her face had gone. Thank you for the steamy scene, but no, I can't let it go on. Aiko, you're not gonna feed that. Okay. Sayaka burst between me and Aiko and hugged me with ferocious intensity. Her fresh citrus perfume tickled inside my nose as her supple breast, roughly the same size as my own, pressed up against my face. Okay, calm down, chicks. Which made it kind of hard to breathe for a moment. Sayaka, you're suffocating me. I'm sorry, Naho. But if I don't do this, Aiko's going to make you open up and say ah again. No, she won't. You two certainly do have a lovely relationship. You're making me jealous. Aiko's faux pouty voice was only making matters worse with the sack, and in turn I was getting more and more fed up with the whole situation. Which is about when I realized that my body had grown lighter. I'm not possessed anymore? My concern over the suffocating to death in Sayaka's boobs seemed to have diverted my attention away from all the delicious sweets. And sure enough, it only took a moment of scanning the air around me to find the spirit girl floating freely, looking a bit concerned. She seemed to be trying to decide between Aiko and Inumaru, and the latter of whom was the ground holding his stomach. Naturally, she chose to possess Inumaru this time. Whoa, I have a sudden craving for sugar. He quickly shot to his feet and ran full speed to the remaining piles of boxes and candy and confectionaries. This is so good, I'm totally going to get fat from it though, and it's really bad. Will you love me even if I'm chunky, won't you, Sayaka? No, over here. You'll say ah for me too, right? Come on, open your mouth, here comes the airplane. Sayaka, why don't we do this somewhere a little bit more private? No, there's no need to worry about that now, You're not that shy, are you? Come on. Huh? Didn't you hear my question, Sayaka? I get it. You want me to diet with you, don't you? Guess I'll have to go buy some workout clothes then. Who would look good, I wonder? We're going to want to wear matching outfits, so... Just stop talking! You're only making things worse! Watching you all is so very entertaining. I'm not sure I'd ever get tired of it. And in this manner, the conversation devolved into pure anime tropes, remaining like it wasn't there already. Hey, 100. Remaining in such a state for the entire walk to Cafe Horthath. Out of the breath, we found our destination only 5 minutes after the 5:30 reservation time. Fashionably late, some might say. Oh, I'm actually going to have to move. We pushed open the heavy doors and heard the clinking and clambering of a very unique door chime as we stepped across the threshold. A server quickly came and took Aiko's reservation ticket, then guided us to... This is a really crappy looking place for having reservations back a year. Just my initial view of the building. I can't take it anymore. Inumaru began sucking on some candy while we waited to help stave off his insatiable hunger. When our menus arrived, he opened his in a record time and began salivating. The dessert menu, which represented the majority of this cafe's famous offerings, was filled with items that aroused our appetites. Wow, caramel honey pancakes topped with chestnuts, baked donuts with hot chocolate fondue, mixed berry waffles and a 3-flavored sorbet, a banana omelet smothered in mango sauce. That doesn't sound very good. Because when you say omelette, I'm gonna think eggs. I hope. Ew. I'm imagining if that's actually part of it. What should we do now? Everything here sounds amazing. I can't choose. Yeah, we've already had enough sugar to keep us up all week, but we can't very well come here and not order something. Excuse me, we're ready to order. Seka and I were still deciding, but Aiko flagged down the server anyway. He was an elderly man with a very professional, very respectful disposition, and strangely, I kind of felt like I recognized him. What can I get for you today? It's Waldo! I'll have the no-bake green tea cheesecake and white-flowered camellia and a roasted green milk tea, please. Very good. I'll take everything from this page to this page. Alright. Whoa, seriously? I have too. I'm so hungry I feel like I'm about to die of starvation. Okay. Will that be all? No, what are you getting? How about a chamomile tea and a banana omelet? And I'll have the raspberry chiffon cake with a peach tea. Excellent choices. I'll get your orders in right away. This person, I swear I've seen him somewhere before. The server swiftly took his leave as I tilted my head, trying desperately to place him. It's Waldo! This wasn't just someone I'd met once or twice, but numerous times, yet for the life of me I couldn't figure out where or under what circumstances. Hey, doesn't our server look familiar to you guys? I posed the question to the table as a whole, but Sayaka and Inumaru just flashed me a strange look. You think? I can't imagine I'd ever forget a gentleman like him, but no, I can't place him. And I can't remember anyone other than Sayaka. What about you, Aiko? I know him very well. Look over there, he's that girl's assistant, no? That girl? I followed Aiko's fingers with my eyes, and found myself face to face with a young girl wearing a Lolita-style dress decorated liberally with ribbons. Hello to you, Sayanoki and her delightful friends. Ah, huh? Aren't you that transfer student? Mogari Mizuki. She studied our reactions for a moment, then got up from her chair and approached me. Mizuki had recently transferred to our class, though no one really knew much about her. Her features were doll-like, with perfect skin and complemented by that adorable outfit. She was cheek-pinchingly cute at first glance, but beneath the surface she was ruthless and cruel. Our server is Waldo Mizuki, Magari's butler. Intelligence indeed, Aiko Niwa. Very, very impressive that you even know about Waldo. She cackled and pulled over a chair from a nearby table. And suddenly she was now sitting with us like we were old friends catching up. What's the meaning of this? Why are you even here? Because I own this place. What? You lie. I don't lie, or at least I'm not lying right now. Aiko, you knew this would happen when you brought us here, didn't you? I gave her the stinkiest stink eye I could manage, and she just shrugged her shoulders nonchalantly. I had an inkling, yes. What are you plotting? Why would I be plotting anything? Because if we'd known this place belonged to her, we wouldn't have come, so spit it out. So demanding. None of you asked who the owner of Cafe Horthath was, however, did you? That doesn't matter, you could have still said something. Sayaka puffed up her cheeks and stared at Aiko. Mizuki is seriously the last person we need to get involved with right now. I'd purposely found myself butting heads with Mizuki over supernatural matters, and naturally, Sayaka had gotten pulled into the fray as well, but strangely so had Aiko. Yet now, all of a sudden, Aiko had invited us to a cafe owned by Mizuki, which suggested to me that she had some nefarious plan in mind. If you're the owner of this place, Mizuki, then I guess that must mean you're pretty rich, huh? Inamaru, naturally again, was the only one of us totally out of the loop about her. He thought nothing of making small talk with someone he presumably saw as a classmate. Not really. This isn't really something special. Also, who are you again? Haruki Inamaru. You can think of me as Sayaka's lover from a past life. They'll tell you everything you need to know. Ah, from a past life, huh? Yep, that's right. You can tell because our pinkies are bound together by a red string of fate. Huh, you're pretty funny. Mizuki, you shouldn't believe a word if this lying dog tells you. You're better off just ignoring him. I don't know. His story seems pretty genuine to me, and I'm pretty good at judging these things. Mizuki smiled brightly. It was hard to tell whether she was serious or just trying to mess with Sayaka. The look in her eye was plainly that of an evil mastermind, yet her smile was absolutely perfect and beautiful in every way, which somehow made it all more unsettling. So, why are you sitting with us again? Because I was hoping we could be friends. After what you did to us, how dare you? What? Oh dear, am I being shunned? Your own classmate cruelly excluding you from a clique. That's a form of bullying, you know. I didn't mean it that way, You're just what? You bullied me for the hell of it? For no other reason than your own amusement? That's even worse. I had no idea you were the kind of person, Sayaka. Sayaka's cheeks swelled up a bit by bit. They almost looked like you could prick them with a pin and they'd pop wide open. Bear with it, Sayaka. But no! I don't like her any more than you do, believe me. She is your classmate, though, is she not? In which case, it does seem a bit pitiable for her to get excluded. Seems you've got a good head on your shoulders after all, Aiko. Whose side are you on? And that should be obvious, you needn't even ask. I'm on the side that will benefit me the most, and if Magari and I have a good relationship with one another, I might just be able to hear a little more about her spirit items. Besides which, I've always felt the tea never tastes quite as sweet after you've ousted someone from the table. Yes, it's all just as Aiko says. Why are you all being so unfriendly toward one another? Inamaru was clueless, and it would take far too long to explain to him. It would take far too long to explain the situation to him, so I figured it was easier just to ignore him completely. I looked everyone else square in the eye for a second, though ultimately settling on Sayaka. She was in tears. If Sayaka is seriously crying, there's no turning back. I have to stand my ground here. I'm sorry, Mizuki, but I really think we're going to have to insist you not join us at our table. That's your final answer then, huh? I hope you're sure about this. Refusing the owner's favor means no banana omelet for you. And Sayaka doesn't get to eat her scrumptious chiffon cake either. Can you live with that? I'll be forced to cancel the orders from your other two guests as well, naturally. What? But I'm so hungry! You think I care? If you're that hungry, go shove some cheap-ass junk food down your face hole outside. That's a dick move, Mizuki. I didn't want to be this confrontational, but I didn't see that I had much choice. Besides which, I really was a dick move. We all came all the way here, but because we weren't sucking up to the owner, we had to leave without eating anything? That's just unprofessional. It shouldn't have been an option. Fine, you want to sit with us? You can sit with us. Really now. But only in one condition. I wanted to eat those supposedly legendary sweets, but Sayaka was too near and dear to me. I wanted to eat those supposedly legendary sweets, but Sayaka was too near and dear for me to let. But Sayaka was too. God damn it! But Sayaka was too near and dear for me to just let this go on Mizuki's term. I don't know why that was so hard to get through. So I decided to do some bargaining. If you can promise you won't do anything to get under our skin, then fine, we'll allow you to sit with us. Mizuki's eyes widened and a grin crept across her face. You mean something like this? She moved faster than my eyes could see. Suddenly, she had my arm and was pulling me in close, and then before I knew it, I was feeling a continuous warm and squishy sensation on my cheek. No, whose cheek? Her cheek! My, how passionate. That's really something. Is it normal for girls today to kiss each other on the cheek? Huh? Sayaka? Has the shock of this public display rendered you speechless, Sayaka? Personally, I'm shocked you haven't told us that you're melting yet. You poor thing. Though really, how long are you two planning to stay like that? This was around when I finally came back to my senses. Instead of just simply a simple peck on the cheek, Mizuki had been sucking my skin this entire time. Now that this realization had finally dawned on me, I immediately pushed her away. What the hell are you doing? Get away from me! Gah. Your cheek just looks so delicious, I simply had to have a taste. Finally distanced from my cheek, she glared ferociously at me, seemingly sizing me up to determine whether or not I was worthy of remaining in her establishment. Evidently, I'd passed the test as she finally raised her arm into the air and snapped her fingers, signaling to her butler. Bring them here, Waldo. Yes, ma'am. On Mizuki's command, the butler came serving. Butler comes server, arrived with a little ragged and full of sweets. Mizuki stood up still smiling gleefully as various plates and teacups were neatly, almost ceremoniously placed in front of each of us. Whoa, they all look amazing. Is it really okay to start eating? I don't think I can wait any longer. Please go ahead. I gave you this personal guarantee that the sweets here at Cafe Horthaf will provide you with ultimate sugary escape. Sweet! Inamara wasted no time digging into dish after dish, barely stopping to chew his food before shoveling another forkful into his mouth. Possessed or no, it was a terrifying sight to behold. This is incredible, just incredible, Mizuki. I'm glad to hear it suits your taste. Now, come on, everyone, dig in. Ah, Sanoki, would you like me to feed you? What? No, I'm quite alright. No need to be so modest. We're best as buddies, aren't we? And what's a little spoon feeding between besties? Well, back it up a sec there. Since when have we been best as buddies? What's that? Has Naho made herself another best friend? Your popularity truly is staggering, you know? As your best friend myself, though, it does concern me a bit. That's not what I'd call you either, Aiko. You hide your embarrassment so skillfully, Naho. What embarrassment? Oh yes, play it off like usual. I know how shy you are deep down. You have a good poker face, though, so it took me quite a while to figure you out. You know, this is starting to get kind of old. I had a splitting headache at this point, and I could think of no better cure for it than the vast quantities of sugar. I took my knife and fork and cut a big piece of banana omelet, shoving it into my mouth and, well, swishing it around a little bit to savor it. Amazing. This may have been my finest dessert I've ever had. The sweetness of the soft sponge cake and the richness— okay, good, there's no egg. Well, not in just egg omelet. It's a sponge cake. I mixed that, sorry. What do I do? My hands won't stop. Right? Surprisingly, Mizuki's expression had changed something altogether more instant than before as she delightedly ingested spoonfuls of sweet confection. Hers was a parfait topped with cavalcade of grapes. This is so delicious. That'd be expensive. I truly am a genius. It's not like you're the one who made it, though. I held my tongue, better not to stir this pot right now, to help me keep quiet, shove another piece of omelet into my mouth. I really can't deny the quality of this food. This place definitely warrants its reservation-only nature. You could fix it up a little bit, though, make it look nicer. My dessert was basically flawless. And though I was very, very full, I just couldn't stop going back for more. Every now and again, this really isn't so bad, is it? Spending time with friends after school, indulging in tea and sweets. It's kind of a new experience for me. Usually the only person I can count on to be there for me is Waldo. Oh. But I'm really having fun here, so everything's on me, meaning you better not hold back. Thank you, Aiko. Thank you very much. No, wait, thank you. Wait, who? Mizuki? I added names. Well, okay, if you're sure. I have to admit, this caught me off guard. I never expected someone like Mizuki to be so, amiable. Amiable? I worked another omelet piece into my mouth, feeling cautiously triumphant. Soon enough, I was not only beyond sated, but happy as well. Looking around, the others seemed to be in high spirits as well, except for Sayaka, who still hadn't even picked up her fork. Sayaka, what's wrong? I can't just accept this. Huh? I'm your number one bestest friend of all of them, Naho, aren't I? Yeah? Started by the question, I made the mistake of hesitating my answer. It wasn't a lie. All anyone had to do was watch the two of us in action. It was obvious we were as close friends as could be. But Sayaka saw my hesitation as a clear indicator that I was lying. She took it as an implied no, and her self-confidence suddenly fell through the floor. If I'm not number one, then what place am I? No, Sayaka, you are absolutely my number one, honest. I mean, there's not even any contest. You have nothing to worry about. Really? Really, so come on, don't cry. I'm not crying. I guess she got me there. She wasn't crying, but she looked like a volcano about to erupt. She continued to study my expression for a while with her vaguely watery saucer eyes. So, on your next day out, can we go to the cat cafe together? Yes, of course. If that's what you want, we can go to all the cat cafes together. Before that, though, can we go buy matching clothes so we can wear them together? Huh? We can go as a pair, right? Because I'm your #1 friend, right? I guess it'd be okay if it were someplace without a lot of people, but to a cat cafe? You don't want us to match? No, I didn't say that, Sayaka. Okay, you know what? Let's do it. We'll go in matching clothes, dress as the pair. Might be kind of fun, change of pace. Also, will you open up and say "ah" for me like you did with Aiko? Huh? This time I was kind of at a loss for words. Going as a pair to a popular place like a cat cafe and getting fed by her on top of that is just... What do you mean by that? Do you really do that with Sanoki, Aiko? Oh yes, in the classroom just before coming here, but I'd put that whole incident behind me at this point. I very much hope you don't hold a grudge against me for it, Sayaka. If Aiko was able to do it, then I want to do it too. Sanoki, open your mouth for a sec. No, if you're going to lay a finger on Nao from this point on, you're going to have to go through me first. Oh, you sure that's what you want? Hold it, we're just going in circles here, so everybody who's not Sayaka, please shut your mouth. Sayaka and Mizuki looked like they were about to face off in epic combat, so I decided enough was enough and stepped in to put a stop to it. And in doing so, I realized that the other customers in the establishment had fallen silent as well and were all staring at us. That wasn't as much a surprise as it probably should have been, though, given how loud we were being. You need to calm down, Sayaka, okay? I am calm. No, you're not. I can tell you're losing your cool. How about you eat some cake to soothe your nerves? See, doesn't this look good? I tried to divert her focus to one of the champagne cakes we'd received, but Sayaka just kept her gaze firmly glued to mine. Then she leaned in toward me, the spark of an idea flashing across her face. If you don't want to open up and say "ah," then I want to kiss you on the cheek like Mizuki did. Come on now, Ho. That should be fine, right? Sayaka approached me quickly and instinctively shrank back into my chair. Sayaka, please, get a hold of yourself. I am, and I'm going to disinfect my dear Naho's cheek. What was that? Oh, no. Are you implying my lips are anything but pure and perfect? Do you need me to kiss you too to prove it? I will not kiss anyone but Naho, and Naho can't kiss anyone but me! This is very gay. Nothing wrong with that, but it's very gay. Sayaka, please, quiet down! But Naho! I believe I have a solution to this dilemma. How about each one of us in turn feeds her and kisses her on the cheek. Then we'll be on the same page, you see. What is wrong with you, Aiko? Yeah, if we all do it, then what's the point anymore? Well, think about it, Sayaka. The reason you're depressed right now is because Megari and I were able to flirt with Naho in ways that you weren't, right? Well, yeah, but... And meanwhile, I'm depressed because Megari was able to kiss her, and Megari is depressed because I was able to feed her. So if each of us do to Naho now which we haven't done before, we'll have each both kissed and fed her, and the slate will be wiped clean. And once we've all experienced the joys of intimately flirting with Naho in these two separate ways, peace will finally return to this cafe. Wow, that's brilliant. Really, I'm totally okay fighting you guys in cold blood over this if I have to, you know. But Megari, occasional compromises are a staple among friends that help make the bonds of friendship stronger, or so I hear. Seriously. This entire conversation was raising a lot of questions for me, and not just the obvious ones. Mizuki barely even seemed to know what the word compromise meant. Nako seemed to be basing her understanding of it entirely on hearsay. Was it really possible that neither of them had ever actually compromised on something before? What kind of life have these two been living? So, Sayaka, you'll get to feed Naho and kiss her on the cheek. In exchange, I'll get to kiss Naho on the cheek myself. And Megari will get to feed her. That should make everything equal, and voila. Voila, I don't know. I'm tired. Case closed, right? Why me? Fine. Today's the day I made new friends, so I guess I'll try this compromise thing. This is one-time only deal. Okay, I'll go along with this. Not you two, Sayaka. Everybody wants to be that special someone for you, Naho, but we're all holding back. Still, if I need to sit back and watch others flirt with you, I can do that for the greater good. Are you hearing yourself, Sayaka? All right, Naho, ready or not, here I come. Sayaka stood up from her seat and grasped my shoulders with both hands. She had a serious soul and look in her eyes. Sayaka, I'm going to start with a kiss on the cheek, and after that I want you to open up and say ah for me. I'm next, then. I should stand in line behind Sayaka. Me too. Make sure you don't take too long, though, Sayaka. Remember, there are other customers waiting. Aiko and Mizuki rose from their seats and queued up behind Sayaka. The actual other customers looked very uncomfortable. They were half watching, half intently averting their eyes, and suddenly uncertain of which approach was more proper. Thank you for this treat. Sayaka's face slowly approached mine. It was only a kiss on the cheek, but her expression was that of a microsurgeon focusing on a patient. It made me extremely inexplicably nervous. But wait, I need time to prepare! But I wasn't going to get any. Sayaka was about to bring it in for a landing, and there was no stopping her now. Fine, if you're going to do this, just do it. Like a warrior prepared to go into battle, I tightly closed my eyes and awaited my destiny. Inamaru's sudden unexplained exclamation caused me to jump, and it seemed to pause Sayaka's advance as well. When I opened my eyes, I could see that Sayaka was not at all happy with her childhood friend. What the hell, Inamaru? This was my moment! Saved by the yell. I breathed this breathless sigh of relief and turned to face Inamaru. He'd been eating this mountain of sweets in silence the whole time, but was now pointing outside the window. Over there. We each followed his finger to the sky. Dyed with the setting sun, the heavens above were a beautiful shade of crimson-infused purple. And there, right where he was pointing, we could see a small distortion in the air. That's... Yeah, apparently the sweets were so good she passed on. We'd completely forgotten about the spirit girl with the weak aura. She had an enormous grin on her face and met our gaze with a courteous bow, then disappeared into the sunset. This is a long fucking chapter. As we left the cafe, the sun was only just peeking out over the distant horizon, growing smaller and dimmer by the moment. We never did find out which particular confection was the one that brought eternal rest to the little girl, but that also wasn't important. All that mattered was she'd moved on. Well, Mizuki, thank you for the food today. Everything was absolutely delicious. You're very welcome. I'm fit to burst right now. If I indulge in sweets like that every day, I'll fill out like a beach ball. Yes, then you will fill out like a beach ball. That's the one true thing they've said about food so far. That yes, if you eat horribly every day, you will gain weight. Unless you have certain conditions. A bunch of conditions start rolling down the screen. I should probably give up sugary foods for a while. For me, it was also delicious. I'd eat more anytime. Reservations are booked a full year in advance, though, so you won't be able to get back in for a while. That sucks. So tasty, it can even pacify spirits. You better watch out. A price like that will go to my head. I can probably use my influence to sneak in another reservation for you sometime if you want. Really? Really. The last thing to return is, say cheese. Mizuki's phone produced a sudden flash. Before I knew it, my picture had been taken. What are you doing? Commemorating the day's events. Nothing wrong with that, right? She spun her phone around to show me the screen, and my face instantly turned red hot. It was a candid shot of me reacting to the sudden flash with a look of total confusion on my face, and it was apparently now her wallpaper. What kind of expression even is that? Hey, that's no fair. I want a picture of you too, Naho. Come on, let's take one. Your battery's dead. Luck is just not on your side today, Sayaka. That's okay, I'll just take one tomorrow. But a memento of today's events has to come from today, doesn't it? Sayaka, would you like me to take one with my phone instead? Naturally, it would have to be a picture of just you, since my phone has eyes for no one else, but still. There'd be no point in that then. That's not true, I'd be happy. I don't give a crap about your happiness. That's so cold. Oh, how could this happen at such an important moment? She put away her phone in disappointment, defeated and forlorn. It seemed to have been an oddly rough day for her. I don't think it would be good for Sayaka to spend much more time with Mizuki today. Well, I guess we'll be heading back now. See you around, Mizuki. Bye-bye. Mizuki waved her hand in exaggeration motion and slinked back into the cafe. Phew, that was an exhausting day. No fooling. You think? I had a lot of fun spending all my after-school hours with you, Sayaka. Dogs live such easy lives, don't they? Sayaka's silence implied, I'm done with you, elicited a wry smile from me. She was clearly too tired to care how her words came across. I actually felt kind of bad for Inamaru, but I couldn't help appreciating Sayaka's current state of mind. Maybe we were just a tad more simpatico than I'd given us credit for. What? I had a lot of fun, but it seems like you two weren't quite as entertained. How unfortunate. Wow, even without getting your hands on any new spirit items, you still managed to have a good time? Certainly not a bad one. Low-level spirits and goading from Magari's side, I was able to spend my after-school hours with close friends, and that's something of a first for me. What? You seriously never spent time with friends after school before, Aiko? I have not. But, Aiko, you're so pretty. How can that be? Sayaka's compliment was met with a slight smile. Though it could just have easily been a pained smile. For all I knew, since I'm sure there was dredging up some memories Aiko would have rather not thought about. Sayaka's comment definitely came from a place of pure innocence. However, in her mind, cute girls always drink tea and spend time with their friends after school. It's only natural. I'm usually busy gathering information that doesn't leave me much time to socialize after class. I also rarely come in contact with common folks who can't see spirits. Sayako stopped dead in her tracks. That seemed to shock her a lot more than it should have. Her expression was almost cartoonish. Aiko looked back at her, quizzically tilting her head a bit. My, did I say something strange? No, I get it now, Aiko. As of today, we're friends. Huh? You're okay with that, right, Naho? We'll both be friends with her. Sure. With my long, turbulent history with Aiko, I wasn't really sold on the idea of counting her among my friends now. And my response wasn't exactly brimming with positivity, but I was kind of put on the spot, so I think it was as fair of response as could be expected. I didn't want to upset Sayaka after all, but the question was, how would Aiko react to this? How would Aiko react to this? I'm going to be friends with both of you then. That's right, what do you say? But I'm not exactly friend material, am I? Sayaka says it's okay, so why not just roll with it? If you can think of us as friends, I'm betting your attitude toward us might change a little too. We'll see about that. A decidedly dubious statement to make, but she didn't seem to even realize how it might have come across. So we're actually friends now. The world kind of tickles the tongue, doesn't it? Friends. Stop saying the word friends, it's embarrassing. Excuse me, what about me? I'm still here, you know. We're discussing friendship among girls. We have no need for boys. In other words, you'll be jealous if I have other female friends, so you'd rather Niwa and I remain acquaintances. Is that the gist of it? You are really getting on my nerves. Oh! Sayaka's explosive punches were flying pretty furiously today, it seemed. Staring down the now KO'd Inumaru, she suddenly lit up with the brightest smile I'd seen from her since leaving the cafe. Now then, I have a proposal. In memory of today's newly built friendship, how about we get ourselves some sticker photos? Okay. Along the bustling street nearby, we found an arcade with a nice shiny row of sticker photo booths inside. I suspected Sayaka may have chosen this particular arcade for a very specific reason, however, as there was a large sign by the door which read, "No men allowed." Tough breaking tomorrow. Guys can't go in, so you'll have to wait for us here. What? Wait, hold on. There's fine print, see? It says men are allowed when accompanied by women. Look, it's written right here. Come on now, Aiko, let's go. Sexy shot. We left Inumaru at the entrance despite his attempts to follow us inside, and we headed straight for the sticker photo booth. You don't feel a little bad for the poor guy? Nah, if Inumaru were in the shot, who knows what he'd do with those stickers. That's a good point, actually. Ooh. I could provide no argument either, so we all just shrugged off Inumaru's misfortune. I then stepped up into one of the few booths that was unoccupied, signaling the other two to follow. How's this one look? Works for me. Over here, Aiko. Enter at will. It's quite bright in here. Aiko was mesmerized by the booth, squinting as she looked over the lights along the screen. Is this your first time taking one of these, Aiko? Yes, certainly. Though I certainly understand the concept and functionality, of course. Okay, then I'll just give you one expert-level piece of advice. When taking a sticker photo, always make sure you're looking at the camera, not the screen. Alright. Aiko nodded through her movement, felt calculated and stiff. She was very clearly nervous. Come to think of it, the first time I took a sticker photo was with Sayaka, huh? First time is always kind of nerve-wracking. Once we picked our shot, let's write friends forever on it. You wrote that back on the two of us took at the first photo too, right, Nahotan? That's right. I see. Aiko's quick response felt hollowed and forced. She was still stiff as a board, like her spirit had left behind somewhere. In a way, her awkward hesitation had a certain charm to it. It proved that she was being genuine, that she was human. How about we group hug in the picture? I mean, we might as well. Okay. What background should we use? I don't know, you pick. Okay, got it. I made a few quick selections and the background behind Aiko changed. She must not have known about that part. It was actually kind of funny. Okay. Here we go. Right. Okay, Aiko. Come closer. Hurry. 3, 2, 1. After several flashes and clicks, an image of us was displayed on the monitor. In it, Sayaka and I were hugging, but Aiko was standing behind us with a furtive look in her eyes. Oh, Aiko, why weren't you embracing us? Oh, you're right, I completely forgot. You were nervous, weren't you? Of course not. Aiko's mouth said no, but her blood-red cheek said otherwise. This was the first time I'd ever seen Aiko flustered. Why don't we take one more? No, I like this one. I think it shows our true natures. Plus it's kind of funny, don't you think? Aiko touched the monitor with her fingers and laughed. Alright, let's call it a day here then. Okay. I wonder if this would make Mizuki jealous. Is that what you were after all along? Of course not! It was to commemorate the forming of our friendship with Aiko. Sayaka spun gleefully in place and held one hand out to Aiko. At first we didn't get along too well, but I get the feeling that deep down, where it counts, you're not such a bad person at all. Hope we can be the bestest of buds from here on out to our new friendship. This is what I like about this girl. I'd always had a tendency to either be way too blunt or way too familiar with people, bringing them down to my level without even realizing it. But on numerous occasions, I truly felt like Sayaka had saved me from myself. To our new friendship, Sayaka, and to you, Naho. Aiko shook hands with Sayaka and smiled at me. Yeah. Cold and blunt as usual, but I could feel the red spreading across my face, and I was certain Sayaka and Aiko knew how I felt regardless. Now his face turning red and Sayaka smiling gleefully. Two beautiful, endlessly expressive images gone forever. That day almost feels like a dream now. And funny thing is, nothing of note had really ever even happened. We just ate a whole lot of sweets, talked for a long time, and took sticker photos. All told, we'd only spent a few hours with each other. Just a few wild hours, messing around after school one day. But these days are never coming back. Naho and Sayaka were now dead. And their deaths triggered an intense despair, hatred, and sheer insanity within Haruki, all of which was directed squarely at me. That day we were all laughing together. Where had things gone wrong? Somewhere along the line somebody must have made some kind of mistake. But who? Is it my fault? Cannot forgive, will never forgive. I had to apologize, both to the girls who'd already died and to the person who had gone mad right in front of my eyes. I'm so sorry. I couldn't even get the whole word out. The sheer depths of rage bore into my skull, and out I went like a light. Ouch. Soulful testimony from Ayana Yamamoto has been unlocked. Newly Encyclopedia Obscura entries have been unlocked. Saka, Oe, Kao, Kubiki, Naho, Sanoki, Shugo, Taguchi. Yes. That was a long one. Jesus, that was like about an hour.